Have you ever wondered how your realtor is being paid for helping you to buy or sell your house? What is a realtor really doing to earn that commission? How do you sign up with your realtor, and when are you actually paying any commissions? Well, we're going to talk about that right now. Hi, this is Robert Luke out of the Salt Lake City area, and I've been a realtor in the area since 2005. And recently I've spoken with both a buyer and a seller who were confused about commissions and how they worked. That is what prompted me to make this video. They had heard different things from various people, and they really didn't understand the process. Well, buying and selling a home is stressful enough without worrying about whether you have to come up with any more money to pay a real estate agent. So let's go over the process now. Other than yourself and the person selling the home, there are really four key players in a real estate transaction with regard to commissions. First, you have the listing agent, then you have the listing agent's broker, then you have the seller or buying agent, and then you have the seller or buying agent's broker. Before we go through each agent type, it's important to understand that a realtor is an independent contractor. They work on 100% commission, and they do not get a salary of any type. What that means is when you hire them to find you a home or to sell your home, they do not get paid anything unless you buy or sell that home through them. Now that could take 2 weeks or it could take 8 months. During that time, the realtor is paying all of their own expenses. So it is the goal of the realtor to find you a home at the lowest price as quickly as possible, or to sell your home at the highest price as quickly as possible. Now each realtor is assigned to a real estate broker, similar to a lawyer working under the law firm's partner in charge. One note, new construction builders usually have their own agents, and they may or may not be paying their agents a salary as part of their total compensation. But outside of new construction, almost all realtors are 100% commission. Listing agent. This is the agent who sits across the table from you and helps you figure out a plan to sell your house. They will usually bring in a marketing plan, comparable sales, the overall market information to help you decide how to price your house to get the most for your house in the quickest amount of time. As part of this marketing plan, the agent will be spending a lot of money for pictures, media advertising, open houses, signs, postcards, and much, much more. If the agent does not sell your home, then that agent does not get paid, no matter how much they spend out of their own pocket to sell your house. Therefore, the agent will want to make sure that your home is priced realistically, and will want to make sure that you agree to keep your home on the market for enough time to have a realistic chance of selling. Listing broker. As I mentioned earlier, your listing agent will be working under a broker, and that broker will be working for a real estate company such as Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, and others. That broker will be the head broker in the office that your listing agent works for. Now, it is the broker who is ultimately responsible for the agent's work quality and legal requirements regarding documentation, code of ethics, etc. Selling or buyer agent. This is sometimes confusing, but your buyer agent is also called a selling agent. Now, technically, your buyer agent becomes a selling agent once you have found a house and are under contract. I will leave it to the verbiage gods to argue why that is, but for now, let's just assume that your buyer agent works for you, and that is the most important thing. The buyer's agent job is to help you find the perfect home and then to get your offer accepted by the seller. The buyer agent then does all of the contract work so that in roughly 30 days, the home becomes yours. The selling buyer agent broker. As with the listing agent, the buyer agent reports to the office broker. The broker in the firm your buyer works with fulfills the same role as does the listing broker. All final paperwork is signed and commissions are paid through the office broker. How do realtor commissions work? Well, the most important thing to understand that the seller always pays the realtor commissions. I'll repeat. The most important thing to understand is that the seller always pays the realtor commissions. Let's look at a typical listing agreement that the seller signs when they are using an agent to help sell their home. In this case, Fred and Wilma Flintstone want to sell their home on 301 Cobblestone Way in Bedrock. Now, Fred and Wilma are the sellers, and the brokerage taking their listing is Raptor Real Estate. In this case, the listing agent will list Fred and Wilma's home until 25 December 2023, and the total commissions the seller will be paying to Raptor Real Estate in this example is 6%. As you can see in the next paragraph, out of that 6% that the seller is paying Raptor Real Estate, half is going to the agent who the buyer has picked to find them a home. So basically then the listing agent is making 3% commission and the buyer agent is making 3% commission, but the total commission that the seller is paying is the 6%, which is split. Let's look at a buyer agent agreement. As mentioned before, the buyer agent's job is to help you find a home and then to do all of the contract work to make sure you get to buy that home. In this case, the buyer agent works at Brontosaurus Realty Inc., and the head broker at Brontosaurus is the person ultimately responsible for a smooth transaction. The buyer-broker agreement basically makes the buyer agent your agent to find a home. In this case, Barney and Betty Rubble have agreed to work with the buyer agent until December of 2023. This agreement allows your agent to make offers in your name and then all the contract work to buy your home. But you know, this agreement also tells the buyer agent that you are both agreeing to work with each other and that the buyer agent will take as much time and spend as much money as needed to find your house. Again, if the buyer agent can't find your house and close on your new house, they make nothing. The brokerage fee that Barney and Betty are agreeing to pay their buyer agent is 3% of the price of the home. However, if the home is listed on the MLS, which 99% of home sales are, then Barney and Betty paid the buyer agent nothing, and that's because the seller of the home on the MLS is paying the buyer agent. But there are cases in which the home is not on the MLS. Let's say that Barney and Betty ask their agent to go knock on some random door and ask the owner if they'll sell their home. In this case, the home is not officially for sale on the MLS and no commissions are being paid by the seller. You see this a lot with for sale by owners. They are not on the MLS and your agent would need to get the seller of that home to agree to pay the buyer agent brokerage fee. Otherwise, Barney and Betty would need to pay it. Now, most for sale by owners are more than happy to pay the buyer agent commissions because that agent has brought a qualified buyer to them, and frankly, they'll end up doing all the contracting paperwork. So a lot of for sale by owners will advertise, "We'll pay the buyer agent." Now we're at the closing table. Well, good news. Barney and Betty's buyer agent found the perfect home owned by Fred and Wilma. The buyer agent presented the offer to the listing agent, and Fred and Wilma accepted the offer. During the 30-day escrow period, Barney and Betty had a home inspector visit the home, and the only negative comment was that Fred's Dogosaurus Dino had buried 2 tons of dinosaur bones in the backyard. But Fred and Wilma agreed to have the bones removed by closing, and Barney and Betty's lender then ordered the appraisal. The appraisal came in good, and everybody's proceeding to closing. At closing, both the seller and buyers see a form similar to this. It's called a closing statement. And by the way, making this very simple. In this sample closing statement, the price of the home is $351,000, and you can see that here. Below to the left is the column for the buyer and all of the buyer costs. This column outlines all the buyer loan costs, such as processing fees, underwriting fees, appraisal, and title insurance for the buyer's lender. Then you have the buyer's other costs, such as prepaid taxes, mortgage insurance, recording fees, etc. Notice this next item, real estate commissions. Both paid to the buyer's broker and this listing agent's broker. You will notice that there is no dollar amount in the buyer's column. The buyer is not paying any real estate commissions. Let's move over to the seller's column. You will see fewer costs because the seller is not getting a loan or buying anything. The only real estate costs the seller is paying is title insurance for the buyer and settlement fees. However, if we move to the bottom of the seller's column, you will see that the seller is paying the commissions for both the buyer agent and the listing agent. In this case, the seller is paying a total of 6% commission, split in half between the buyer and the listing agent. The commissions paid by the seller, as well as their closing costs, are deducted from the proceeds of selling their home. As mentioned earlier, this is the first time that the realtors actually get paid for the work, at the close of the sale, when the buyer becomes the new owner and gets the keys to the house. There we go, easy as pie, or perhaps as easy as a Bronto King burger. Be sure to watch my videos on getting a loan approval and what it will cost to sell your home. So have a great day, and thanks for watching. See ya.